This is a strategic intelligence brief focusing on U.S. force projection in the Persian Gulf theater. Our analysis is based on open-source intelligence. The mission focus here is critical.
So let's get right to the central question, the one that frames this entire analysis. Why would you deploy a floating city, a massively expensive, slow-moving naval force, in an age where stealth bombers can theoretically hit any target on the planet within hours? We're going to break down that strategic calculus. Okay, first up, the situation overview. What you need to know is that we are currently tracking the largest redistribution of U.S. naval power since the run-up to the Iraq War in 2003. Key assets are pivoting hard towards the Persian Gulf. The fundamental difference between these two types of power really comes down to one single word: persistence. Think about it. A bomber takes off, conducts its mission, and flies home. It's a sortie. But a carrier strike group, it arrives and it stays. It establishes what is essentially a sovereign piece of American territory off an adversary's coast, complete with over 70 combat aircraft. It's a persistent, looming presence that a bomber, by its very nature, just can't replicate. Section 2. The Naval Pivot. Let's dig into the details of exactly how this maritime power is being repositioned so quickly. At the heart of this plan is a strategy called the Pincer deterrent. It's a two-pronged movement. The idea is to have carrier groups from two different theaters, the Pacific and the Atlantic, converge on the Persian Gulf simultaneously. The goal is to apply overwhelming pressure from two independent, powerful vectors. And the timeline for this is, well, incredibly aggressive. The moment flash priority orders are issued, the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group can sprint from the South China Sea, cut through the Malacca Strait, and be on station in just 7 days. Right behind it is the USS George H.W. Bush, coming from the Atlantic. The strategic objective here is crystal clear: have two full carrier strike groups conducting dual operations right off the coast of Iran inside of 11 days.
Now, when we say carrier strike group, it's so much more than just the carrier itself. You have to think of it as a mobile, multi-layered fortress. At the center, of course, you have a Nimitz or Ford-class supercarrier, but protecting it, you have a Ticonderoga-class cruiser acting as the nerve center for air defense, multiple Arleigh Burke-class destroyers hunting for subs and watching the skies, and very often a Virginia-class submarine lurking below for covert strike missions.
So that's the naval piece. Now let's look at the alternative: air power. We're going to analyze the strategic bomber fleet because it operates on a completely different timeline and a totally different scale. And this is the domain of Air Force Global Strike Command. Their promise, their entire capability is devastatingly simple: precision strikes on any target, anywhere in the world, within 24 hours. This is the ultimate strategic overmatch, an option that doesn't care about shipping lanes or naval bases. The attack doctrine itself is a beautifully coordinated sequence. First, the B-2 Spirit plays the role of the door kicker. It uses its incredible stealth to slip past advanced air defenses and take them out. Once the door is open, the B-1B Lancer, a supersonic heavy hitter, dashes in to destroy hardened, high-value targets. And finally, the B-52 Stratofortress, basically acting as a massive flying missile truck, stands off from a safe distance and launches long-range cruise missiles to mop up any remaining infrastructure.
But here's the crucial factor, the thing you can't forget: scarcity. The B-2 Spirit is the only aircraft in the U.S. inventory that can do that initial penetration mission against a modern integrated air defense system. And there are only 19 of them in service. That makes each one an absolutely irreplaceable strategic asset.
So this brings us right back to our original question. And the answer is, these are not competing capabilities. They are complementary. Naval power gives you that persistent, visible control. It's a deterrent you can see. Air power gives you the rapid, deep penetration strike, a covert capability. You see, one force holds the territory while the other kicks in the door. They really depend on each other. Section 4. Logistics. All this power projection is impressive, but it comes with enormous costs and some critical vulnerabilities. Let's assess those now. Let's talk about the cost. To operate just a single carrier strike group on station, the daily burn rate can be as high as $9 million. That's $9 million a day. And that covers everything from the nuclear maintenance on the carrier and jet fuel for the air wing to the food for over 7,000 personnel. Now, zoom out from that daily number. If you extrapolate it, a single 30-day deterrence operation costs more than $1.5 billion. And that is the price tag of just showing up before a single shot has even been fired. But the number one logistical vulnerability is all about access. See, the carrier itself is nuclear-powered. It can go for decades. But its escort ships, those destroyers, they run on diesel, and they need to refuel every few days. If they can't get access to friendly ports in the region, the Navy has to create what's called a steel chain of supply oilers, stretching thousands of miles back to a secure base. And that chain, well, it's the entire fleet's Achilles heel.
So to protect these valuable assets, a massive missile defense surge is absolutely required. We're talking about airlifting 4 to 6 full Patriot batteries, an operation that takes over 300 heavy transport flights. But the really telling detail here is the thinking behind it. They're pulling older, cheaper Patriot missiles out of Cold War stockpiles specifically to counter inexpensive drones. Why? To save the advanced and very scarce PAC-3 interceptors for the real high-end threats, like ballistic missiles. It's a calculated, strategic choice.
Okay, finally, let's tie this all together. Section 5, the strategic implications. What's the final assessment here?
The core strategy that we've outlined is this pincer deterrent. It's a concept designed to control escalation, to dictate the operational tempo. The goal is to put an adversary in a position where they are constantly forced to react to you, not the other way around.
But the success of this entire massive operation hinges on that logistical backbone we talked about. One analyst really put it best. If that chain breaks, the most powerful fleet in history becomes a floating museum. That single sentence just perfectly captures the critical balance here between immense, overwhelming power and an almost invisible fragility.
So, the forces are in place. Power has been projected. The deterrent is established. The strike capability is on standby. The final question isn't about capability anymore, it's about intent. It's this: what is the escalation threshold? That concludes this brief.